Next thing to consider in a big decision is your male versus females. This is going to be another thing to go over real quick because it's actually really simple. If you're a human with a brain, the more males you have with the less females, the more males become useless because you can only breed one male to, or you can only breed one female to one male. So let's say you have 3 females and you have 6 males. Only 3 of those males are going to be used during that breeding season. So what I recommend doing is spending more money and the more genes on a male, and then buy more females. Maybe buy 2 to 3, 4 or 5 even female to the one male pairing that you're gonna. The reason that I said you could put more than one male to multiple females, you get more money, more bang for your buck out of the snake if you buy males. So you really want to see what genes you want in the females, what genes you want in the males, because like I said, the male could spread more genes a season throughout your collection. So let's say you're a big fan of pastel and you really want a bunch of pastel and pastel combos. Well, you don't want to buy a pastel female if you want pastel in a lot of your snakes, because the only pastel snakes you're going to get that season are from that one female. So you're going to get maybe 6 to 8, like I said. But if you have a male that is pastel and you put those to 3 females, now you have every clutch has a chance to have a pastel in it. So that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that the male has a pastel to the 3 females when they're ready. There you go. You have a really good chance of producing pastel and pastel combos versus if you had the pastel female, which you only have 6 chances to get pastel. Another thing to consider before you breed is to contact your local pet store. Most likely being like your mom and pop type shops, not necessarily Petco or PetSmart, because they kind of have their own little breeding, selling bullshit system that they do. So, for example, I have a local pet store by me. I think there was like 2 or 3 in my state. I think one close. I think there's 2 in the whole entire state, but I think it's owned by the same family, whatever. So I went in there when I first started breeding leopard geckos, and I said, hey, I think I had like 7 leopard geckos that I just had left over from the season that I couldn't sell as fast as I wanted to. Went to the pet store and they said, oh, we'll take them for you. We'll give you a lot less than what I would get off of Craigslist or something. But they take it off their hands, and obviously they're giving you less money because they need to sell it for a higher price to make money from it. Go around your local pet store, see if they're interested in buying reptiles when you do produce them. That way you kind of have like an out, to where if you can't sell reptiles, or even if you're doing it for fun and you don't really necessarily do it for the money, you might be able to breed, get 6 babies, raise them up, get all the interaction and experience from it, and then call your pet store and say, hey, I have these 6 leopard geckos. If you give me $100 in store credit, you could have them. You know what I mean? And it's a good. Now, like I said, pet stores is kind of it's a different deal, something you have to consider, because you are going to get a lot less money from the pet store than you would from a private buyer. But the pet store, you instantly unload however many reptiles they want to buy from you. You instantly get the money for it. It's cash or store credit or whatever you decide to do with whoever is buying the reptiles off you from the pet store. And you're also helping the local pet store out by giving them a reptile. Like I said, yeah, it's gonna be, they're getting it for a lot cheaper, but then they are then in turn the reptile for more money, which equals profit for them, which keeps them running for longer. Another thing to consider is more than, I guess, just money in your pocket and getting rid of reptiles. Kind of a whole little ecosystem you can kind of create to help each other. Now, the one thing I do want to say with the pet store thing is make sure it's a pet store that you can see, you visited before, the people who work there. You want to make sure that the snake or reptile is going to a really good home. And you want to make sure that not only are they going to take care of it properly the right way, while it's there and the time before they sell it, but you also want to make sure that they give the right info to whoever buys it from the pet store, so it could live a happy and healthy life and not be thrown on Craigslist after a couple of days because it gets bigger than they expected, or eats rats and they thought it eats crickets. So that's the big thing to consider too, is make sure the store is actually going to take care of it and do the right thing by the reptile. Another thing to consider is, so I have like my notes down below here, is depending on where you live, you may rely on to ship reptiles, which kind of is it's a big task for sure. You got to make sure you can do it legally. You got to make sure that you can do it safely. You gotta make sure you do it with both parties involved. You gotta decide a good time and date for you to ship it, and for them to make sure that they're home to receive it. There's a lot of stuff that goes into shipping, and if you live in a small state like me, you're pretty much gonna have to ship, which is why I just so you guys know, I personally don't ship reptiles yet. I'm working on it probably next season. But there's a couple reasons why I haven't shipped yet. One is I feel like I'm not producing enough animals to really kind of like put online and to sell. Like I don't want to put on 2 reptiles and then get 50 messages for them to figure out who I'm selling what to and whatnot. I'm just not producing enough to really have to worry about shipping. But with that being said, I do live in a small state. They're not a big like reptile enthusiast state or whatever, so I do have a lot harder time selling animals than most people probably do for that reason. So make sure you research shipping. Make sure you research the legal way to do it, because it is not legal to just put a ball python in a box and ship it across America. It's big time illegal. So make sure you want to do that. Also, you want to make sure you do it the safe way so the animal arrives happy and healthy at the next destination. There's a many ways, even though I don't do it, there is a couple ways to ship. One, which is the way I don't think anyone really does it anymore, except maybe the original big dudes who've been breeding and shipping reptiles forever, which is you get like a shipping permit, and it's has all these legal permits and stuff involved, so you could legally ship reptiles from state to state. There's a bunch of things you have to follow and whatnot for that. But with that being said, there is a lot of websites nowadays, like shippyreptiles.com I know is one, where as far as I know, you buy their kits that they sell, which comes with like styrofoam in a box and deli cups and heat pads and everything you will need to safely ship your reptiles, and they will give you the shipping labels and everything's through their company, so you personally don't need the permits and all the legal paperwork and everything to ship reptiles, as long as you follow exactly how the website tells you to do. You pretty much use their account with their permits to be able to ship the reptiles legally. And they're actually really great because, like I said, you could buy a kit, let's just say a small box is $12 and comes with the box. It comes with like the styrofoam inserts, it comes with all the paperwork, it comes with the labels. It comes with discounted shipping for you to charge your customers. It comes with like the heat packs and bags and deli cups and everything you will need to get the snake to point A, or the reptile to point A to point B. I'm actually have to give them a call here soon to figure everything out so I can start shipping myself. I just have a couple questions I want to ask them, but once I do, I'll probably make a video, explain the process and kind of go over the questions and the answers I got back from them from my personal experience. So with those kits, they come with customer support. So you can literally call them, like I said, you have any questions, they can sort any issues or problems or questions out for you, rather than doing everything yourself and kind of hoping you did everything right and hoping for the best. Next thing to consider is to figure out, once you breed and you get eggs, you get the babies, you want to have a general, now this isn't always the easiest thing, but you want to have a general plan on what you want to keep, what you want to hold back, what you want to sell, just so you don't end up keeping back too many things. So like I said, you do have to make a profit. It also helps you stick to like a set breeding plan. So let's say you ball python A and ball python B, they breed, and you get a cinnamon pastel spider, just say. It might, even though you probably sell that for a decent amount of money, it might be beneficial to hold it back to rebreed it once it gets old enough and it's ready, because then you lost the money from the profit, but you're gaining because you're getting babies from that snake. Or just hold back snakes you really need. You really don't want to hold back every single thing that you produce, because you just get too many animals. It muddies up the water. You have to figure out whose parents were with who, so you don't interbreed too much, and yada yada yada. My plan, what I suggest is to figure out what 2 pairs you're breeding together, figure out if you want which morph you want to keep and hold back, which sex of those morphs you want to keep and hold back, and how many of each, and stick to it. It makes life a lot easier for you in the long run to do so. Things to consider for your holdbacks, this is real quick, is pretty much just you have to consider, like I said before, you have to consider that, yeah, you're keeping the snake, you're going to grow it up to adult and you're going to breed it. You also have to keep in mind with that, you're also losing the profit from just selling the snake outright earlier. So you fed the snake, the snake has been costing you money. You really want to make sure that the snake really fits into your plans. Like I said, I know it's hard. An orange dream spider possible het albino. I've kept this really weird pastel, kind of looks like a normal but with a weird pattern, but it's from a super pastel, so it's definitely pastel. I kept that back just because it was weird. And I've also kept back just a tiny, same thing with the normal-ish pastel ball python. I kept back one of his clutch mates because it was really tiny and really skinny, which is a video coming soon on him. So I kept him just because he's awesome. His name's Littlefoot. I'll keep him and raise him up. And I've also held back a male normal het albino that I recently just sold as well. So as you can see, I've been doing for a lot. I haven't held that many back. That's ball pythons. I've held leopard geckos, but I'm not going to held back leopard geckos, so I'm really going to get into that. But so yeah, just think of a plan and stick to it. I'm going to just go into the next point, which I think is my last point. We'll do it real quick. So have a plan. Figure out what you want to breed in the future, what you want to work towards, how you're going to get there, how long it's going to take you to get there realistically. That being said, also don't be afraid to go off that path. For example, the one thing I wanted to do when I first started getting into ball pythons is I wanted to be known as the spider ball python guy. I wanted to breed a bunch of spiders. I wanted everything I produced to have spider in it. I wanted to be known as having like the cleanest spiders and the nicest spider ball pythons in the game. And then as I got older and grew as a breeder and you realize about the spider gene, I changed my plan to where I don't plan on breeding any spiders or keeping any spiders, holdbacks at all, ever again. So you want to definitely grow. You also want to change with the time. Some things are popular, some things are less popular. It's fine to keep things that are less popular if they make you happy and you enjoy them. But if you're going off a business aspect, you really what are you doing right now, dude? You really have to keep up with times and see what's selling, what prices are dropping, what prices are going up. I know, for example, a lot of jeans when they first come out, they're really high price, and after 4 or 5, 6 years, they go down to 1/10 of what that price was. But there's also some jeans out there. For example, like the spot nose that was really cheap and now the prices are going up higher and higher as new combos are being unlocked and bigger people like Jake, what's his name? Jake Cabela, I think his name is. Jake Cabela, Reptiles. They did a lot of work with them, so now people are seeing what he's done and their prices are going up. So the price is always different. You want to grow and change accordingly. But you also still want to stick to your original plans that you have. Like I have original plans I'm still going to stick to with the ball pythons. And eventually, if I breed leopard geckos again, I have plans for them that I'm going to stick to. And they're probably not going to make me money. It's just things that I've always wanted to produce or try to produce or to make. So I'm going to stick with them. But I'm also thinking of a path to make me more of a profit. Not necessarily with more reptiles, but with different species and figuring out different things. Also, with that said, in most cases, if you pick a plan early on and you stick to it, you're going to have the better results than if every single breeding season you're switching what morphs you want to breed or what you want to be known as or known for or what species. You can still be successful if you change all the times. I've changed a bunch, but you're definitely going to find a lot more success if you stick with one plan and you stick to it and stay true to it. Because that's what I think a lot of reptile breeders and now that are getting more popular or selling more reptiles is because they picked one thing, maybe 1 or 2 morphs or maybe a species that not too many people breed, and they stuck with it, and now they're reaping the benefits because they did stick with it and they had things that maybe weren't popular at the time. But as time changes, it became more popular, and now they're just sitting there laughing on their way to the bank. Keep in mind your old plans. Find the balance of making new plans, new goals, and as long as you stick to the steps and you do your research and you find a balance between keeping things as pets and breeding things, you figure out how to sell things, where you're going to sell it, you figure out how to keep the animals the best, you're going to be successful no matter what. there's so much info on pretty much every single. I'm gonna put this guy back real quick. On every single reptile out there. It's pretty much if there's a reptile you think you want to breed, more than likely there has been at least one person that has bred it before, and you could find all the info you may need on either a forum that they posted on, or a YouTube video, or a YouTuber who interviewed them. There's always something. If you want to breed poison dart frogs, or you want to breed knobtail geckos, or you want to breed alligator skinks, or whatever it is, there's someone who's died before. So there really is no excuse to fail at anything. Now granted, it's not as easy as reading or watching a video and just reproducing and doing it. It's going to take some work. You're going to fail sometimes. You're going to make mistakes. In the process, you kind of get all the info you need to do. You kind of tweak it a little bit to fit your needs and, you know, the better situation for you. And you kind of just go from there. We're all just learning at this point. I think the best thing you can do is just keep learning. Create a social media account for yourself so you can learn from other people. People can learn from you. You can share what you're doing, and also create sales that way. It's another important thing. Create social media, Instagram or Facebook or whatever is your preferred method, I guess. That's one thing that's really helped me a lot. Is I've learned a lot just from having my Instagram, following pages and asking questions, and just, you know, socializing with other reptile keepers. I've really learned a lot. Actually, some really cool people that I've met in person, whether it's just sales or just meeting up at reptile expos, through social media. So that's one thing I really do suggest that you do, is kind of get your name out there. I've been rambling for way too long. I'm probably going to make this into a multi-part video, because I see now that this part of the video is 20 minutes, plus the part before someone called me is probably like 10-15 minutes. So I'm going to edit all it down, maybe make this into 2 videos. But thanks guys so much for watching, and I'll check you guys out. I'll see you guys in the next video.